Love like ours, you like this.
Okay, the amazing Suzanne Somers is back, everybody. I've already been blah, 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 blah on the couch. You're truly the advocate for all things when it comes to health and anti-aging, and thank you for doing that. This is her 25th book. I'm too young for this. Talk to us a little bit about, first of all, the demographic. You're looking at women right now, 30 to 50 years of age.
35 to 50-ish on both ends. And it's interesting, my publisher said to me, you really should write a book about perimenopause. And I said, well, I've so gone in depth on hormones. And she said, yeah, but not for the women who are in our office. They're 35 to 50. They're all starting to experience these symptoms, which I call the language. The language is itchy, bitchy, sleepy, sweaty, bloated, forgetful, and all dried up.
Sounds so sexy.
And so when you are replacing hormones, if your leg itches, like there was one producer in New York, after I said that, she said, I itch, look at my leg. She had scabs all over her leg. She said, I itch in my sleep and it's like terrible. That's, she doesn't have enough progesterone. And so when you get to know the language, then you can call your doctor and say, I'm itching, and she'll probably say, okay, we're gonna raise your progesterone a little bit.
Let's talk about that, because you do go into detail as to why doctors are so hesitant and, quite frankly, ignorant. It's because they are taught to promote things that are backed up by pharmaceutical companies, and they know that those work. There are sample studies.
Right.
They are not so familiar with the natural side of things.
No, with all due respect, our doctors, even today as we are speaking, get about 4 hours of instruction in the hormonal system. And I mean, I've spent thousands of hours on this, so, and I don't know everything. But it's really important to I believe if I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't have gotten cancer, and here's why. There's a ratio of estrogen to progesterone. What perimenopausal women, 35 to 50, deplete in first usually is progesterone, and so they're estrogen dominant. That's why they get sort of full busted and full armed, and the abdomen gets kind of, I don't know, I used to look at myself in the Inquirer and they'd say, her suit looks snug. And I'd think, great, I feel like crap, and now the Inquirer is saying that my suit's too tight on me. But it was all that estrogen. So estrogen is carcinogenic, but progesterone is your anti-carcinogenic component of your hormonal song. And so if a woman's depleted of progesterone, which is usually what we run out of first, now she has no protection against cancer, and we get our cancers generally in perimenopause, which is when I got it. If I go back, my tumor started growing around age 40. They didn't find it to 50, but probably wouldn't have happened if it was just short-term progesterone replacement, and I wouldn't have been so miserable to live with.
So you think you would have staved it off if they were able to detect the imbalance at the time?
Yeah,
but then how do you know which ones to use? Because people hear about all these nightmare, synthetic drugs, and how do you know which route to go then?
I do a whole section on synthetic drugs and why they are dangerous. There are 2 studies that I'll just cite really fast. There's a Fournier study, a French study of 80,000 women on synthetic hormones. There was a 69% increased risk of breast cancer in the women on synthetics. There was a American Cancer Society, 422,000 women, women who went on bioidentical hormone replacement, which is what I'm writing about here, natural hormones, biologically identical to the human hormone, had a 41% decrease risk of breast cancer. So there's never been a recorded case of anybody dying or getting cancer on bioidentical hormones, yet the synthetic hormones, which is a $2 billion a year business, it's happening all the time. And I look at doctors and I think, okay, you didn't learn it in medical school, but look at the data. There's something is wrong here.
And these are huge sample surveys. It's not just thousands, it's hundreds of thousands.
And the back of the book, I just decided, because everybody tries to shoot holes in this, I just said, okay, look at all these studies of the efficacy of natural hormones. Look at all the studies on the dangers of synthetics. So it's all in there. Women, we have phases, as we know. We have puberty. We all know raging hormones in puberty. And then we have this blissful period for, I don't know, 10, 20 years where our body's perfect, our breasts are perky, our hair is beautiful, we feel like having sex all the time, we can conceive and make babies, and we're so proud of ourselves, and that's all great. And then one night, and you never know what night it's going to be, you're hot.
You're a miserable mess.
And it's not the good hot, right? And you're like hot.
Your skin's
and
different. Your hair's different.
hair's not good, and you know, you're in a bad mood, and it's not you, it's you. You say to your husband. And I wonder how many marriages break up over hormonal decline. And then people have this misconception that you can get on the other side of menopause. You can't. It never. Once you start losing hormones, the machine never revs up again. You now have to do the alchemy to put yourself back together perfectly, because the healthiest women on the planet are the ones who can reproduce, because they have perfectly balanced hormones.
Right.
Interesting.
So for people at home right now, to be their own advocate, what is the best thing that they should do? Do they go for the blood test? Do they talk to their doctor? It's very daunting for people. They read your book, and then what is the first step to do?
A blood test to see your hormone panel, to see where your levels are, and then hope you can. We're trying to put a consortium here together in Canada. We have one in the States called foreverhealth.com, where they will, these are all qualified doctors who will do the blood testing to see exactly where you are. So if you live near the border, you could go over to, you know, go to that website. Here in Canada, I mean, I have nothing to do with them financially, but Natasha Turner, Dr. Peddle, these are doctors who get it here in Toronto. There are a couple of great doctors in Canada. I can't remember their name right now. They're Indian, and they're just fantastic. So they're around. And ask the question, have you chosen to specialize in bioidentical hormones? Okay. You usually only have to go once, and then it's all lab work and phone calls. You know, my leg itches, and they'll usually say, well, what's your stressor? And one more thing that I think is really important. Yes. We all have a cell phone, and cell phones have the same frequency as a microwave oven, and we're putting these cell phones next to our brain, and our kids are doing it. So I brought you something. I don't know if you have an iPhone 5.
I have a BlackBerry. Don't judge. That's another problem. Right. She can't solve everything in a day. I love my BlackBerry.
Okay, you have to get rid of that and get yourself an iPhone 5. It's a small investment.
You're not the first to tell me that.
I really think everybody should have one of these, and this is part of my business. This is a nanotechnology chip developed by a famous scientist, David Schmidt. You go to SuzanneSomers.com and click on Matrix. It's under $50. You put the logo side up on the back of your phone and put your case on, and it will protect you from electromagnetic radiation by 98%. Amazing. And all the research is there in the avatar, so you can see the brain specs and what it does to children's brains. And I know a little boy who was keeping it in his pocket, as all little kids do. He's grown a third testicle, is most likely sterile. Now, is it from this? Nobody can prove it, but think about, connect the dots of having a microwave oven in your pocket. Probably can't be good. Or for a woman, having a microwave oven next to her breast can't be good. So 98%. And there's a little meter we had at the office, and we put it next to my iPad. Bleh, went all over the place. Here, the needle didn't even move with this chip in there.
And that's an easy thing you can do for peace of mind.
So get an iPhone 5, and now you've got your little
Look at her. She's I feel better already. If only I can look as good as Suzanne Somers. SuzanneSomers.com. Thank you for doing all that you do. I love you. I'm too young for this. Available in bookstores right now. Pick it up. Thank you so much, and thank you for doing all that you do.
Thank you so much.
More
I appreciate it.
right after this, everybody.